North Korean leader Kim Jong Un recently attended a groundbreaking ceremony for a new mega farm in the east of the country. He said the aim of the project is to grow more vegetables and to improve people's diet. It comes at a time of worsening food shortages. In a report last October, the UN said people's access to food there is, quote, a serious concern, and that some children and the elderly are at, quote, risk of starvation. In state-run media, however, there's little sign of a crisis.
This is a big moment for North Korea's leader, if state-run media is to be believed. Not only is Kim shoveling the earth himself, cheered on by thousands of soldiers, he also gets to do this. When the dust has settled, work will start on transforming this site into the biggest and most modern greenhouse farm in the country. Kim hopes it will give people more access to food by allowing farmers to grow vegetables throughout the winter. Then, in what is clearly a stage-managed event, the soldiers swarm around Kim's car to show their appreciation. The scenes appear designed to spread optimism at a time when many North Koreans are facing acute shortages of food, and in some cases even starvation. With information so tightly controlled and choreographed, it's hard for international groups to ascertain the true scale of the problem, or to what extent North Korea is still able to grow crops and feed its people. Pyongyang also frequently accuses the West of exaggerating its problems. But earlier in February, the country's rubber-stamp parliament appeared to acknowledge the severity of the crisis. They promised to increase food production and normalise rations for people. The speaker said the problems were also created by the pandemic and international sanctions imposed because of the weapons programme, and the closure of the border in early 2020 to the country's economic lifeline, China. Yet the regime's main preoccupation seems to be to continue to focus people's minds on happy events, such as recent celebrations to mark the late leader Kim Jong Il's birthday. And to convince them that there's no need for concern, because in the end, dictator Kim Jong Un will come riding to their rescue.
Joining us from Seoul is Chad O'Carroll, founder of nknews.org, a research, news, and analysis website dedicated to all things North Korea. Chad, something is up in North Korea, but as always, it's a bit tough to find out what exactly is going on there. Kim Jong Un did warn in his annual New Year's speech it would be tough times ahead. And I'm curious, what's your assessment of just how bad the food crisis is there?
Yeah, well, those are the words, food crisis, that North Korean state media very unusually used in June 2021. And that was probably as a result of North Korea's COVID shutdown. The borders have been closed now for almost 2.5 years, and we've seen barely any imports coming in of foreign foodstuffs. So they've really become very self-reliant. And we all know from UN reports that North Korea's annual crop supplies fall below the requirements for a population of that size, roughly 25 million people. Those are the sort of key facts, and we don't really have much detail, much verifiable, reliable data about what the food supply is now, besides just a general assumption that it's grim. Our sources in Pyongyang continue to say that there is still no foreign food there, so it is just the domestic supply.
When you say grim, are we recalling something like from the 1990s? Are we at famine level right now, or not yet?
No, it's not. It's not like a major food shortage. It's more like the nutritional value of the food that's on offer is low. There's not a diverse food supply, so people will be eating They'll have a reliable supply of low quality grains and cereals. But that's it. Like protein, vitamins, fresh fruit, vegetables. Those are the things that are a bit more scarce. And we know that North Korea has those basics because China, from what we understand, has been continuing to support North Korea through this crisis with basically free strategic grain aid, so that North Korea doesn't go through what you just described, a famine like we saw in the mid-90s.
And you alluded to this earlier. China's extreme zero COVID strategy has meant the border between the countries have been mostly shut the last 2 years. But you also say that China has helped North Korea to some extent. Could you explain the impact of the border closure and just how serious that is?
Yeah, so the key thing is the land border between the Chinese port city of Dandong and North Korean city of Sinuiju. That used to have maybe 200-300 trucks crossing the bridge every day, in addition to rail freight. And that all basically stopped in the summer of 2020. It's just started again now, but North Korea has this very elaborate 3-month disinfection process for all inbound goods. So what that means is the first few trains that we heard of going through in January this year, those goods are still going through disinfection. And as far as food is concerned, that means that the food that will be coming in will be things like vegetable oil, coffee granules, nothing that can keep very long due to that significant disinfection period.
Now, a lot of the international focus has been on Pyongyang's missile test launches. And I wonder whether any of that is driven by things happening domestically.
Yeah, we believe so. So with what's been going on, the economy is in bad shape. There's no scope for that to improve. The foreign relations diplomacy is all on freeze because North Korean officials can't get out of the country to meet anyone. And so faced with this, Kim Jong Un, we believe that one of the things that he can definitely show progress on, regardless of the COVID situation, is rapid progress on military development goals. Kim Jong Un outlined 12 new types of missile technology and weapon systems that he wanted to obtain within 5 years at last year's 8th Party Congress. And we think the recent tests, in part, have been to show the population that there is progress amidst all of these humbling economic difficulties.
Chad O'Carroll, thank you so much for joining us.